You rolling?
And action.
I'm the world's greatest superhero.
You are everything that we dreamed of.
It's because deep down there's a part of you that is still human.
Your brand is hope. Baseball, America.
You should have been raised in a home with a family who loved you.
I'm better! I am better!
You don't do vengeance.
And yet, I turned out great. But I did it for you.
You're my greatest failure.
Want them to love me.
There's something alluring about the strive for perfection, whether it's for work, love, art. Homelander is, in many ways, a depiction of what happens when high expectations meet reality, a frustration that we're not enough, isolation as we try to improve, and the sense that love isn't fulfilling, even when everything else feels so pointless without it. Today, I want to focus on the humanity of Homelander, the psychology of an undeniable monster who is also devastatingly pitiable. This boy, raised to be a god with every power available to him, lacked what little he needed to foster trust, love, or the fleeting sense that he belonged anywhere in the world he sought to control. In the following video, we'll explore what creates a monster, looking at the childhood trauma associated with narcissistic behaviors, the genetics of antisocial personalities, structural abnormalities in affected individuals, and how unlimited power only serves to amplify the characteristics of these conditions. But first, let's start where every monster begins, not with power, but with pain.
What was he like, Homelander? When he was a little boy, 5 or 6, he was quite sweet.
With monsters, there's a desire to pretend that it was all inevitable, that nothing could have saved them. Not love, not friendship. As if, like some birthmark, they were born defective, lacking the qualities that make a human a good person. Upon birth, the human brain is far from fully developed. Rather than coming into the world with a preset series of functions and reactions, the brain grows and changes with its environment, making it the most fascinatingly beautiful adaptation our species has evolved. You can imagine it like a piece of metal formed to fit a specific lock, or a shrub cut away until it looks like a dog or series of spirals. But what happens when an environment lacks the fundamentals a mind needs to form properly? Homelander was raised without a mother, without a father, without the warmth or love the brain uses to reinforce human social behavior. During early development, structures comprising the limbic system, prefrontal cortex, and striatum are majorly impacted by the quality of relationships an individual has. Stable, predictable relationships allow a developing brain to remove excessive synaptic connections and reinforce the neural pathways that mirror the healthy, predictable patterns they experience in their relationships. Conversely, unstable relationships, relations of neglect, indifference, or irregularity, cause this neuroplastic process to stutter, to second-guess which pathways need removed and which need reinforced, creating a maladaptive neural wiring of the brain. What results is a matted bundle of neural connections in these regions of the brain affecting memory and emotional regulation in the limbic system, decision-making, emotional regulation, and empathy in the prefrontal cortex, and the striatum, which is highly involved in the brain's reward system for healthy social interactions. Cold, distant, or abusive parenting styles are often linked to the poor development of these regions, resulting not just in a change of physical brain structure, but consequently produce a diminished understanding of self and other in the affected child. Narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by an elevated sense of self-worth, the need for admiration, and a severe aversion to criticism. But beneath that grandiosity lies a fragile self-image, an inner child desperate for validation. Narcissism itself has an intrinsic irony in that a narcissist views themselves as the default center of attention, but this attention comes from people viewed as lesser, inferior, inadequate. For Homelander, the condition is reinforced by two environmental factors. The first being his function as a glorified science experiment, elevating his sense of self-worth as he proved to be the perfect product. The second factor being his ravenous hunger for anything resembling genuine love or acceptance from the laboratory researchers, the closest thing Homelander had to a family. This environment created the perfect feedback loop, a place where Homelander sought the approval of the very people who tortured and feared him. The more powerful he grew, the more godlike he became. The more he embodied everything he was meant to be on paper, and the less that love, affirmations, or apologies could ease his sense of loneliness and self-importance. But while narcissism in and of itself is a self-fueling fire, one capable of creating a god complex from horrific surroundings alone, it doesn't tell Homelander's full story. While this sweet boy turned sinister through years of neglect and misappropriated praise, there is more at play in Homelander's psychology than an elevated sense of self. To understand this, we need to look beyond Homelander's surroundings and consider what inner factors were also at play, regarding what genetic and physiological changes exacerbated the effects of his environment.
I'm alone. I just want to talk.
You're my greatest failure.
From the start, I hated you.
You're a fucking disappointment.
What's more, I fucking hated you.
Whereas narcissism tends to manifest from cold or dysfunctional parenting styles, antisocial personality disorder, or ASPD, has a greater heritability. That is to say, a nearly 60% chance higher probability of being passed from parent to offspring when evaluated in double twin studies. This suggests that offspring, even when removed from the parental personalities demonstrating antisocial behavior, still have a high likelihood of developing the condition. While not all neglected children develop NPD or ASPD, these early deficits in emotional attunement are strong risk factors for personality disturbances. When considering the parallels between Homelander and Soldier Boy, not only in their mannerisms but in their team interactions, we see just how much damage passed from father to son. ASPD is characterized by acts that violate the rights of others, often stemming from a lack of strong emotions or a diminished sense of remorse. Both characters demonstrate a disregard for their colleagues' happiness, a vindictive, controlling attitude towards their romantic partners, violently guarded egos, and the adopted notion that they are the axis of the universe. Like narcissists, individuals with ASPD are egocentric and tend to be driven by power or personal gain. But whereas Homelander's hunger for praise came from his upbringing, his aggression, irritability, and lack of remorse may have been present from the very beginning, stemming from morphological changes in the brain. Individuals with ASPD display hypersensitivity of the nucleus accumbens and reduced activity of monoamine oxidase A, an enzyme responsible for breaking down dopamine and serotonin, which leads to increased aggression, impulsivity, and higher potential in the formation of addictive behaviors. To worsen matters, decreased levels of gray matter in the frontotemporal region of the brain, often associated with impulse control, as well as the anterior insula, a structure associated with empathy, are commonly found in individuals with both narcissistic and antisocial personality disorders. Further changes have been observed in neuroimaging studies showing decreased autonomic activity, increased white matter, and decreased thickness in the corpus callosum, suggesting dysfunction in the regulation and integration of mood and behavior. Homelander, while physically superhuman, is psychologically abnormal and developmentally stunted from his upbringing, genetics, and the way in which one condition amplifies the other. But how then do the powers of a god affect these psychological disorders?
You people should be thanking Christ that I am who and what I am because you need me. You need me to save you.
Homelander sought praise for the eternity of his life, wanting the approval of his handlers, not for vanity or glory, but for love. To feel that he was enough, that he was worthy of something as simple as acceptance. Psychologists like Dacher Keltner note that power doesn't corrupt, it reveals by lowering empathy and social inhibition, amplifying whatever personality already exists beneath. The irony of Homelander's powers, his strength, his invulnerability, his ability to fly, is that while they provide him with physical ease, they isolate him while amplifying his darkest inadequacies. The same way a celebrity feels alone despite millions of fans, Homelander's fame elevated him to a level where everyone in the world knew him, but nobody understood what it meant or what it took to be the world's greatest superhero. Instead, a dynamic developed where Homelander sought the validation he never received as a child by means of mass appeal. Denied something as simple as a mother who loved him, a father to guide him, Homelander required a nation of strangers to fill the void. But that could never be enough. Even if the world adored Homelander, it would be a poor substitute for the love he needed as a boy. Even if the laboratory doctors viewed him as a person first and an experiment second, Homelander would still feel betrayed by the family meant to protect him. And, even when shown compassion, admiration, or love, there is an underlying fear, self-validation, or manipulation that Homelander simply can't look past. Because no matter how many people praise Homelander, nobody knows John. No one can understand what it's like to be the face of the nation. No one can understand what it's like to be a lab experiment gone perfectly wrong. He is alone, and while strength and power may defer that sense of loneliness, they ultimately prove everything he believes about himself. That he is better, that he is a god, that no one's opinion of him could matter when he is capable of great and terrible things without repercussions. Homelander is never forced to face his own physical inadequacy, his failure to do the impossible. Instead, it is the constant ease of goals through force, intimidation, or manipulation which feed into Homelander's sense of grandiosity. His power ensures that he always gets his way. But they also ensure that he can never have what he needs, the love of someone who understands and accepts him, not as an experiment, not as the god he views himself to be, but as the boy he was, alone in a cell with his blanket. Homelander reminds us that villains aren't born evil, they're made from pain, neglect, and the hunger to matter, and that's what makes them unforgettable. I started this channel because I love great stories. It's what compelled me to write my first book, and it's why I wanted to help people tell their own stories as perfectly as possible. If you're writing your own story and want to build villains with the same depth, characters who terrify us because we understand them, I've made a worksheet that'll walk you through that process. It's designed to help you craft the psychology behind your antagonist, their wounds, motives, and the moment they turned from victim to monster. You can download it using the link below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe. I'm really looking forward to the projects ahead. Thanks for watching.